Picking number one in the 2022 NFL Draft all the way to a playoff berth. And here's the changes that the Jags have seen in 2023. Those are the additions on the left. They do lose Marvin Jones Jr., but they have Calvin Ridley coming in. Also, Jawan Taylor now will play tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. For more on the Jacksonville Jaguars, we'll bring in Sara Walsh. Good afternoon to you, Sara. You spoke with Doug Pederson this week. How different is the draft strategy this year from what it was last year?
Well, a year ago, I was camped out up there in Jacksonville because they had the number one pick in the draft. And I remember walking out on the field. It was the first time that Doug Pederson got to do any hands-on work with the players that were already there in Jacksonville in April. And Doug told me this week it's definitely a different vibe, right? Because last year, all eyes were on Jacksonville, and they held the keys to the draft. They were on the clock the entire time, and they controlled what they were going to do. And he said, obviously, it's different when this year you're going to sit back and wait. They're at 24th overall. But it is a little bit different in terms of strategy, because a year ago, they had a record spending in that offseason. They spent like more than $175 million on players. And Doug said that's because it allowed them to solidify what they needed at certain positions. And in some ways, he said that took a little bit of the pressure off of the draft because they chose what positions they were going to fill. He said this year, obviously, you're still looking for value, but now we're really looking for depth. He said he feels like they've really filled out this roster well. Now they're going to go look for depth. So the Jacksonville Jaguars looking to get stronger once again after really a dream season for them. Pederson and their GM Trent Baalke told me they are never going to be drafting number one again. And so far, Patrick, they are holding true to that promise.
And that's because they saw so much improvement last year. Where do they want to see improvement now, Sara?
Well, Pederson said that they got a taste of what it's like having the spotlight on them. And I believe that most people are going to think this is the team to beat in the division if you look at what else is going on there. But he said ultimately, while they had a really nice run, we didn't meet our goal. So he said it's now time for a reset for this team. And he doesn't want to take away from what they did last year, because certainly it was such a drastic improvement for the Jaguars. But now their eye is on something much bigger. And he made no bones about it. He said we have to get better on third downs. And he said that's offense and defense. We got to stay on the field on third down. On defense, we have to get off of the field. And then he said they want to be better in the red zone. He said they need to be more efficient. They can't have those turnovers in the red zone. And he referenced Trevor Lawrence sort of just catapulting himself into this next level in the second half of that season. Well, now Lawrence is going to have another weapon in Calvin Ridley, who Pederson said is so excited to be there. Pederson hasn't been able to work with him yet, but we have seen video, obviously, of Lawrence working with his new receiver, and that should alleviate some pressure on other guys like Christian Kirk, who had an amazing year for the Jaguars. So things are really looking up in Jacksonville, and they're excited to get this thing going once again, and they're certainly excited to have Ridley. Pederson told me they have watched every single snap he ever took in Atlanta, Patrick.
Yeah, coming out for a season where in the regular season they won 6 of their last 7 games, scoring well over 25 points per game. Looking forward to the Jags in 2023. Thank you to Sara Walsh.